CRISPRcon has been one platform, and for last 2 days I have seen the engagement from all walks. It's from civil societies, from farmer communities, from the scientists obviously, and also from industries. So everyone is willing to learn and take home the messages that are coming out from this conversation, and which is extremely important.
This is actually my second time to attend the CRISPRcon, and it's nice to see that the number of people who are attending the conference is growing, bigger and bigger every year. And through that, I heard different voices, which was really exciting.
I really love how CRISPRcon brings together all these different factors, all these different perspectives of people, from policy to general audience, students, researchers, and to just hear all their thoughts, to talk about CRISPR and gene editing with them has been a real delight. It's been really interesting.
I would say yesterday, I think the priest that was on a panel offered up a lot of great ideas on how we view science. Today we saw someone representing indigenous communities, and he brought up just the basic concepts of what is Western science. I think as we explore CRISPR as a technology from the lens of being a Western innovation, and how do we apply that to different cultures, I think having those voices yesterday and today was really eye-opening.
Where I'm coming from, the concerns that we have are so different from what people are thinking here. So I think that was probably the most striking thing for me, is the fact that I think the views are so diverse, the challenges are different, and so the urgency or the need is also diverse.
Normally we don't speak each other so often. We're in our bubble, scientists that agree on most things, and now you hear really the different perspectives from the different stakeholders and people in society, and I think that's a good opportunity. I mean, I experience it that way.
And so I could bring in my thoughts about that, the series of concerns that I have regarding this technology, and I thought it was very welcome that I brought in my perspective, but also other people on the discussion panel had other opinions, and that was also very interesting to hear and to see and to learn a lot from others also.
And so I came at it with this interest to understand how CRISPR could be used for applications as diverse as new alternative materials like plastic alternatives, all the way to how do you protect species, or maybe even bring back species from the brink of extinction. So there's been a lot of interesting discussion that either directly speaks to that or indirectly speaks to that.
Well, to just hear everybody's perspective, but also to educate yourself on issues that you are not necessarily an expert in is really interesting, and also reminds me as to why I'm doing what I'm doing exactly.
Together with my colleague and so forth, we've been working on various social dimensions of gene editing technologies. By hearing different take on the technology, that helps us to think about, contextualize our experience in Japan. So it's been very helpful.
Sometimes you see how big the gap is between those different groups of people, and that it's not always easy to get the communication channels. Like some of the discussions were more difficult than others.
Because when you have diverse opinions, it's very hard to get a consensus. And the more people you have bringing in opinions and bringing in, sometimes it slows down a process that could otherwise be faster, but it's always good to continue to have conversations about things.
We have to have the countries and the societies speak for themselves, whether they are ready to embrace the technology or not, whether they are the consumers of the technology or the technical, the technocrats or the businesses. We really need to have a diverse conversation going on to be able to really capture the essence of this technology.
A venue like CRISPRcon, you're able to see what's the current status of each country, what doesn't go well when countries are on different pages, and how do we get all the countries on the same page if that's even possible. And if it's not possible, how do we move forward?
I could read a book about the topic, and that book would probably give me one person's perspective. And that book would also probably be outdated by 2 or 3 years, and the pace at which this field is moving, I wouldn't be up to date, and I wouldn't have the latest information. I wouldn't have diverse perspectives. And so instead of reading a book about it, or instead of attending a technical conversation where I wouldn't understand what was going on, this creates this platform for diverse people to come together, talk about not just the technology, but also the applications of the technology.
I think it's extremely important to talk with other people, to have this multi-stakeholder approach, and to bring in this different perspective from different people, from different industries. And this is really a way forward to see where our opinions are and which different perspectives we have.